Balenciaga, what the actual
The luxury brand now apologizing for these photos showing little girls in Balenciaga sweatsuits with plush bears and what appeared to be BDSM-inspired harnesses, and these uncovered documents on the desk showing an excerpt from the 2008 U.S. Supreme Court opinion, U.S. v. Williams, which upheld the criminalization of pandering of child pornography. We sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should not have been featured with children in this campaign, adding that the documents in the Adidas partnership, including a featured page from a child pornography lawsuit, was unapproved.
Hey guys, my name's Jason Wesley, and this is not a podcast. Oh, we good now. We passed the midterms. Let's just do whatever the hell we want. Balenciaga apologizes for adverts featuring children holding bondage bears. Bondage bears. BDSM Bears. The Twitter handle Shoe posted, the brand Balenciaga just did a interesting photo shoot for their new products recently, which included a very purposely poorly hidden court document about virtual child porn. So this pic is kind of innocuous at first until you zoom in. Court documents about virtual child porn? Look at these pictures. Look at them. Little girls holding BDSM teddy bears and a picture with court documents about child porn. You realize how many people in the chain that this had to go through that knew everything that was going on with this photo shoot that had to be approved before it actually got to the public and posted on their social media? Everybody from the photographer to the marketing manager to the casting agent that knew that they were going to be casting little girls for this. And when they were setting everything up, nobody looked to read the porn documents that they were taking pictures of. And I get it. Some people don't know what BDSM stands for, what it means. BDSM stands for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism, and masochism. Sadism means the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. Masochism means the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from one's own pain or humiliation. So tell me why you have little girls holding these BDSM bears. I guess they figured they had street cred since they just dropped Kanye West last month due to anti-Semitic posts that are, in my opinion, fueled by the Black Hebrew Israelites. And you wonder why parents think that you want to sexualize children.
You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep them from disco. Warn about San Francisco. Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
I did an entire 2-part video about the sexualization of children earlier this year, and it seems like the left just thought it was open season for kids. Remember Cuties on Netflix? They changed the promo picture from little girls skipping and jumping or whatever to a promo picture of teenage girls scantily dressed on stage performing. And the actual film was terrible and a pedophile's dream. Now, maybe they've been emboldened by the entire Biden administration consistently attacking parents that show up to school board meetings and labeling them as domestic terrorists.
He said it was the letter from the National School Boards Association that they have now said we regret and apologize for sending. The letter, as the gentleman from Texas just pointed out, they coordinated with the White House to use the words domestic terrorism in the letter.
They've consistently promoted giving youth castrations and mastectomies.
Starting around the age of 12, I began to believe that I was transgender. This belief was not organic. All the media I consumed as a kid showed me how stupid and vulnerable being a girl was. All the sexualized images of women gave me an unrealistic expectation of womanhood. I spent a lot of time online and quickly saw all the praise coming out of trans god on Instagram and other social media. I was a bit awkward in school and had some trouble making friends. Like many dysphoric children, I also suffer from a variety of mental health conditions, so I easily fell prey to the narrative that if I felt different and did not want to be a highly sexualized girl, I must be a boy. I obsessed over becoming a boy. I believed that all my insecurities and anxiety would magically disappear once I transitioned. The mental health professionals did not try to dissuade me of this delusional belief. I was fast-tracked into medical transition after I was diagnosed with dysphoria. In California, a child can pick their gender identity, and a care provider questioning that would be considered conversion therapy. This wasn't a misdiagnosis. It was mistreatment. My parents were told that the options were transition or suicide. They complied because they were not offered any other treatment solution for my distress. My distraught parents wanted me alive, so they listened to my doctors. I was placed on puberty blockers and testosterone after expressing my gender dysphoria to my therapist, and I was approved for a double mastectomy, all by the age of 15.
The mainstream media have been trying this for years. Remember when Don Lemonade was talking about Jerry Sandusky?
And I know people are going to probably send me a lot of hate mail for this. I've never been one to take glee in anyone's demise, and when I saw Jerry Sandusky walk out in handcuffs, I did kind of feel a bit sorry for him, even though I know the jury found him to do some horrific things. I was like, you know, his life is over. All of these young boys, it was terrible for them as well. There are no winners. In your piece, you say someone has no choice to be a pedophile, but someone can choose to not be a child molester. So explain that to us.
Aw, poor Jerry Sandusky, poor pedophile. I mean, I'm just like, really? Somebody that was a pedophile and abused children you feel sorry for? The left doesn't believe that your children are yours. They believe that your children belong to the community.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
They want to break down the nuclear family unit. Remember when BLM founder Patrice Cullors talked about how she was well-versed in Marxist ideology?
We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
And BLM actually had posted on their website their agenda before they took it down. It was so terrible that even Marcellus Wiley came out and spoke specifically to their agenda that they put on their website.
Two things. My family structure is so vital and important to me. Not only the one I grew up in, but the one I'm trying to create right now. Being a father and a husband, that's my mission in life right now. How do I reconcile that, what I just told you, with this mission statement that says, quote, we dismantle the patriarchal practice. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. When I know statistics, when I know my reality, forget statistics. I knew this before I even went to Columbia and saw these same statistics that I'm going to read to you right now. That children from single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. The children from the single-parent homes, this is in 1995 I was reading this. 5 times more likely to commit suicide. 6 times more likely to be in poverty. 9 times more likely to drop out of high school. 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. 14 times more likely to commit rape. 20 times more likely to end up in prison. And 32 times more likely to run away from home. I knew that. You know why I knew it? Because a lot of my friends didn't have family structures that were nuclear like mine, and they found themselves outside of their dreams and goals and aspirations. So when I see that, or as a mission statement for Black Lives Matter, it makes me scratch my head.
They don't want kids respecting their elders. They want them to respect the universe and the ideology of the woke. It's permeated the culture so much that you have kids now speaking this Marxist ideology at their father's funeral.
I miss the idea that one day you might help me fight for the things that matter. I missed my fantasy of you. Because when you died, it solidified the fact that you'll never be what you could have been, but only what you are. And what you are is a racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, Trump-loving, cis-straight white man. That is all you will ever be to me. And Dad, before you tell me to respect the dead, please remember that you disrespected and disregarded the lives and deaths of entire communities of people with your ideology. You told me to never back down, so I won't. You know for a fact that even against you, I'm not afraid to share my peace. You are everything I aspire not to be, and I refuse to stand up here and sing the praises of a man who is the paradigm of white supremacy. So I'll take your racist mindset, I'll take your money, and I'll take your advice. And I swear to God I will make this world a better place. Not at all because of you, but in exact opposition to you.
It's terrible. They want to start kids on medications as young as possible, from attention deficit caffeine pills to child hormone therapy. The assistant HHS secretary said as much, calling it gender-affirming care instead of child mutilation and abuse.
So the protocol developed in the Netherlands has 2 phases. The first phase, at the young adolescent age, is to give what are called a pubertal blocker, to give a medicine to block the progression of puberty so you don't go through the wrong puberty. And then to continue some counseling. And then somewhere between 14 and 16 years of age to start slowly cross-gender hormones.
Vanderbilt Hospital was exposed earlier this year by Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire, talking about how much money can be made from this abuse and exposing children to this type of care as early as 13 years old.
Some of our BUMC financial folks in October of 2016, starting a couple years ago, put down some costs of how much money we think each patient would bring in. And this is only including top surgery. This isn't including any bottom surgery. And it's a lot of money. These surgeries make a lot of money. So female to male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s. That requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital.
And they're relying on WPATH guidelines.
So when we talk about the WPATH guidelines, so in order for our patients to really successfully undergo these surgeries, we do, again, follow these guidelines. So
it's an extremist organization that doesn't base itself in science, but it's a propaganda organization that wants to transition children. I like what Patrick Bet-David said when his child's school wanted to start his son on medication.
The school brought me and Jen to the school and they said, we need to talk to you. Your kid has a hard time paying attention. I know where they're going, but just because I wanted to know how they're going to lead me into prescribing my kid's medication. So I said, let you lead me because I want to learn. Okay, well, we think we need to recommend you to see this doctor. I said, no problem. We'd love to see her. So we go to her. Is it okay if we do the assessment with your kid without you guys being in the room? Is there a camera? You can do it as long as there's a camera and I can see it. Then it comes out, your kid has a hard time paying attention and this is going to really help him with his grades. So what are you suggesting? We think we need to suggest such and such and such and such. I said, do you by any chance think maybe extremely creative people are like that and have been like that for many years and they never took anything? I mean, Beethoven, Mozart, all these artists, all these folks that we buy and admire. If you think this kid has issues, he's like his dad. His dad was just like that as well. He's going to be all right.
It's like Glenn Beck said over 15 years ago. There will come a time in America where we won't recognize America if we keep heading down this path. Up is down is up, left is right is left, and there's no such thing as objective truth anymore.
There's going to come a time, I really think, 70% of America agrees. 70% of America. You could be Republican, Independent, Democrat. We all love America. We all think that we can be great. We all know that it's the individual that makes all the difference. We might disagree on health care. We might disagree on this, on that, but there's 70% of us. Right now, we're being controlled by the 20 or 30% of both sides. Let's give it 15% each. Both sides of the nut job fringes on the left and the right.
But if you had to be on either side, you'd be more comfortable on the right?
Of the fringes? No. I wouldn't be comfortable with either of them. The fringes are what's pulling us apart. We've lost the thing that the e pluribus unum.
And here we are. Men can be women, women can be men. Men can compete in female sports and completely dominate, but you never hear of a woman transitioning to a man and dominating a men's sport? Listen to this indoctrinated therapist instead of your parents and grandparents. How do you control a population's growth? Promote homosexuality. That way there's no more children born, while at the same time promoting promiscuity. And if you do end up getting pregnant or having a child, and apparently men can get pregnant now.
Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have abortions?
Yes.
We'll just allow you to abort it. That's the quick fix, which means that life isn't precious. You aren't valuable, and they don't want you to see yourself as valuable. They want you to see yourself as a part of the machine, as a part of their system that they can control you, very similarly to the Matrix. This isn't a political battle. This isn't a physical battle. This is a spiritual battle. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." I'm wondering when the church is going to lead from the front again.
Will you be my alibi?